If you're pulled over by the police, you need to know three things. First of all, very important, pull over as soon as you see the officer trying to pull you over. If you see the red lights or you hear the siren, try to find a safe place to pull over right away. And the best thing you can do is turn on your turn signal so the officer's aware that you're trying to pull over and you're not trying to get away. This will save you from possibly being charged with leaving the scene or fleeing an officer. Very, very important. The second thing you need to know is you want to keep your hands where the officer can see them. It's very important that the officer not be threatened, thinking you're hiding your hands, you have them on your lap, on your side. Don't do that. Keep your hands, be smart, keep your hands up there and maybe pull the window down so that the officer can talk to you. Now, the officer is going to tell you, give you instructions. So he's probably going to say, may I have your license, registration, and insurance? Those are the things that the law really requires you to have when you're driving. So you don't want to play games there. You want to ask for permission because your license is probably in your wallet. So you probably have to reach down to your wallet, and your registration and insurance is probably in your glove compartment. So the officer might ask you to step out of your vehicle. So go ahead and step out of your vehicle. You don't want to have a confrontation with the officer. At this point, you want to be humble and you want to be obedient, but you don't necessarily have to talk and get into a conversation with the officer. Don't talk, just listen. Very important. The officer is going to tell you, step out of the vehicle or stay in your vehicle, one of the two. The officer asks you to step out of the vehicle, go ahead and step out of your vehicle. And if he asks you for the license, let him know where it is. It's in my pocket, or it's in my wallet. May I reach for it? It's in my purse. May I reach for it? So the officer might go ahead and pat you down, or he might ask for you to reach for it and watch your movements. So you got to make sure you give the officer the feeling that you're not a threat, that you're just, this is a professional thing. He's stopping you, pulling you over for maybe a traffic infraction or for some other reason. And maybe he got a call with something about your car. This is not the time where you want to say, why are you pulling me over? You see all these videos on YouTube where people get in trouble for no reason. The officer might just talk to you briefly and let you go, or might issue a civil citation and let you go. But if you start a confrontation, you're gonna buy your ticket to jail. Or what's worse, you might get shot if the officers are in fear for their life. So you don't want to do that. You want to be very, very polite. You want to be careful to ask for permission before reaching for what they're asking for. May I reach for my wallet? Sometimes the officer, let me reach for it. Let the officer reach for it. Whatever. You don't want to get into that kind of confrontation. Then registration and insurance, those are in my glove compartment. They might say, do you have a weapon in there? No. Or if you do, you disclose it to the officer so that they know. The officer might say, let me take custody of the weapon temporarily while we do this for my own safety. Okay. So the officer might go in there, take the weapon, and then he might ask you to produce your license, your registration and insurance, whatever's in the glove compartment. If you do that, the officer probably going to say, okay, sir, give me a moment, have a seat in your car. Let me go do some checking and I'll be right back. The officer might start asking you, do you know why I pulled you over? Where are you coming from? Where are you going to? You don't want to get into that type of conversation. You have a constitutional right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment, and you have the right to ask for an attorney before you are questioned about anything by police officers, government, people, anybody with the government. You have a Sixth Amendment right to say, listen, I have an attorney, or I'd like an attorney. It's important that you say, I want an attorney, because the Sixth Amendment is a very, very strong shield. Supposedly under the case law, once you invoke your right to an attorney, that's even stronger than invoking your right to remain silent. Because if you invoke your right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment, they can always come back later and say, hey, have you thought about it? You still want to talk to me? You want to remain silent? No. You want to say, I want an attorney, and I'm not going to say anything. So in the light of remaining courteous and polite, so the officer starts asking you questions about where you've been. We say, politely say, I don't want to answer any questions without an attorney. I have an attorney, respectfully. The officer is going to understand, most officers are going to understand that you're exercising your constitutional right to remain silent. And if they have probable cause that an infraction was committed, they'll probably issue a citation, or if they have a reasonable suspicion that criminal activity is afoot, then they'll probably arrest you for a crime if they have reasonable suspicion. They need probable cause, though, to confirm before arresting you. So the stop can be based on a reasonable suspicion to stop you that criminal activity is afoot, or upon probable cause that you've committed an infraction. We're going to talk more about that in our next video. So please stick around, look for our next video, and I'll tell you more about that. In the meantime, remember, your Fifth Amendment right says, under the U.S. Constitution, says you don't have to talk to a government agent. You do have to just identify yourself. If you want to remain silent and identify yourself, that's fine. But I like for you to be a little polite so that the officer is calm and it's a professional. But you don't have to talk about where you came from, what you're doing.